Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Ladies and gentlemen, the New York Knicks are 500 on the season. 41. Well, they're better than 500 on the season, but they're secure. They locked down a 500 record, at least, on the season. Right? The Knicks are 41. They're 41 and 30 now. They're back in the 5th seed. They can do no worse than 500 on the season. And, of course, we all expect them to do much better than 500 on the season.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. I got my man Tony in the building, and we're going to go ahead and break this one down. You know what I mean? Tony, what's poppin' with you, my brother? How you feeling?
What's good, son? Shout out to the chat. Yo, Black, it's time. Big bench tonight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt.
Big bench.
No doubt. You know, we can start right with Duece McBride, man. 18 points for Duece McBride, the best game that he's had as a New York Knick. Right? And it's crazy because I seen Duece at one point in the second half go to the basket, and I tweeted out, I'd love to see Duece attack more often. You know what I'm saying? You know, and when I say attack, I'm meaning just being a mindset of attacking, right? Being that mindset of attacking, and instead of, I'm looking to orchestrate or facilitate or give the ball off to somebody else, being the mindset of attacking. Because I don't think he's always in that mindset. You know what I mean? But if you're in that mindset, now you can start to, your game can start to open up. You know what I mean? And Duece McBride played a wonderful game tonight. 18 points, 6 for 8 from the field, 4 for 5 from the 3-point line for Duece tonight. You know what I mean? Had a dunk. Obviously, he played wonderful defense. Always plays great defense. You know what I mean? Your thoughts on Duece McBride tonight?
Wonderful performance. Wonderful performance. I mean, play with confidence. Stellar defense. You know what I mean? Like on a stellar point guard, but the defense was there. Like, and I think there's no denying that Dame Lillard felt Duce's presence. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and that was a joy to watch. But to harp on your point about him being aggressive or looking to attack, because chances are when he's on the floor, he's probably going to be the least guarded guy, right? He's going to have the most opportunities to find a little hole here or find a seam somewhere, because they're not looking for him to do that. You know what I mean? So
right.
he could take advantage of that sooner rather than later.
Right. You know what I mean? And he's just got to have it in his mindset. And maybe after tonight, maybe the faucet is open. Now the waterfalls, you know what I'm saying? Maybe he sees it and feels it like, okay, I can be aggressive. I can shoot without hesitating, without thinking. You know what I mean? Because to get this kind of performance from tonight was big.
And not in garbage time, not in a meaningful game. Meaningful game.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, Tom Thibodeau chose to go with Duece instead of Quentin Grimes down the stretch because of his defense. I mean, offense, because he was scoring. Obviously, he's going to play defense, but because he was scoring the basketball too, he decided to go with Quentin Grimes. And when you can put a lineup of Emmanuel Quickley, he decided to go with Duece. But when you can put a lineup of Emmanuel Quickley, Duece, and Josh Hart out there on the floor, that is a scrappy defensive team. You know what I mean? Really scrappy defensive team. And it makes it tough on opposing offenses. It makes it tough for them to get into their flow, get into the things that they want to get into when you have guys that are constantly, like, they do the little things, especially Josh Hart and Duece McBride. They're always doing the little things that irritate you. Putting their hand on the ball after you get a rebound, trying to knock it away. Getting blocks, getting deflections. All these little things that irritate an offense, these guys do it. And Emmanuel quickly does some of it as well as just plays really good defense. To have three of those guys out there on the floor, it's tiresome for an offense.
I mean, it's two things that come to my mind when you say that, right? Because excellent point. Number one, we're not going to see that unless, with the question I was going to pose is, does it open it? Does him hitting his threes, shooting like that, being aggressive and going to the basket, does it open up a 10-man rotation? I know it's going to get tough for that in the playoffs, so it's even less likely in the playoffs that the roster expands. It usually shortens up. So it's just, it's great to see.
Right.
But that's a great point that you're making. But when Brunson's back, we're not gonna see that very often.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
does
it sucks.
And I don't know if it opens up a 10-man rotation, to be honest with you. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Tibbs likes his 9-man rotation. He feels comfortable with it. I think it makes it easier for him to substitute. Easier for him to manage, knowing who's going in when and for who. And it may be just the way that he wants to roll, and he saves Duece for, those times when Jalen Brunson or Emmanuel Quickly or somebody is in foul trouble. You know what I mean? But we'll see. Who knows? Maybe it does. Maybe he says, I got to keep this guy out here on the floor. The more he starts to score, and now he can play defense, it's like, I got to get him out here. I got to have him on the floor because he helps the team too much. So we'll see how that plays out in the future with Duece.
Yeah. I think it's too late in the season, but if it was like early in the season and we was getting this, you know what I mean? And it would be very interesting. I think I agree with you though. I think it's going to be still situational, you know what I mean? But the faith is there, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's no doubt in that. Like,
yeah,
Tibbs trust him.
Yeah. Oh, he definitely trusts him. You know what I mean? And that's big by itself, right? To have players like Duece who are, on the situational, that you trust and that you trust to play down the stretch of a game, even in tight situations. Because this was a game that the Knicks, if they wanted to reclaim that 5th seed or at least stay in the hunt of that 5th seed and not fall below the Brooklyn Nets, they needed to get this win. I don't know if they knew, but the Nets game was over before the Knicks game was over, obviously, because it started earlier, and the Nets lost. So the Knicks were, at some point in the game, a half game above the Nets. The Knicks got the win. It put them a full game above the Nets. But if they wanted to, before the game even started, in their mind, if they were like, we need to stay afloat, we got to stay, we either got to be above them or stay with them, they had to get this win. You know what I mean? And so to be able to trust, to have a guy like Duece on the end of your bench that you can trust going down the stretch of the game when he's shooting well and, playing the defense that he normally does, that's big. That's really, really big. You know what I mean? So, shout out to Duece for having the type of game that he had tonight. Because it really did help to spur the Knicks on. The second half shooting for the Knicks was, it was great. They needed to get off of the skid row, man. You know what I'm saying? They were on skid row as far as their offense was concerned. They couldn't hit anything over the last, 4 games or whatever it was. 3.5 games, I guess. They couldn't score. So for them to have the kind of second half that they had, being able to score the ball, there was a point in the third quarter where it felt like everybody was hot. Maybe it was even fourth quarter. Everybody, Obi, RJ, Duece, Quickly, it was all getting busy. You know what I'm saying? And so hopefully they could bring that home and keep it going, Josh, what's popping with you, bro?
Salute, fellas. Good evening. Salute to the MBK fam and the chat out there. I agree with most of what y'all saying in regards to Duece. I still think he will be situational once Jalen Brunson gets back. But like I said, when we first got Josh Hart, I think he is an important piece to have in your pocket. Someone that you can throw out there to pick up full court. And, his offense came around today. Let's see if his offense can continue to come around when he's going to play those situational minutes. But tremendous effort from him tonight. Josh Hart can't say enough about that acquisition so far. I think that they said that we're 11-3 since we acquired Josh Hart from the trade deadline. And he's just all over the floor. But in regards to our offense, the Laker game, we've seen it in the Laker game and we've seen it tonight. That second unit, when you put them out there, the ball just seems to move. And the Knicks are going to score via transition offense, basically play defense, and that's how they're going to get out in transition, and that's how they're going to score. And I think that getting that in there is what's going to spark the team in their half court, right? Because everyone's going to be in the groove, everyone's going to be in rhythm. The ball seems to move a little bit more. Players are moving without the ball. So I think that second unit, having them, especially with Brunson being out, because in half court we're going to be stagnant when we start games. That's just how it is because of how we run our offense. That second unit, putting them out there for some minutes, they're going to be able to help get our offense going because of the ball movement and because of their activity, not just offensively, but defensively as well, to spur transition. And that's what we've seen tonight. And we've seen that in the Laker game as well. And it's definitely helped us out. We're going to need to do that if we want to score.
Yeah. And I would say especially in transition, really, with the second unit, because of the defense that they're able to play, especially now that Emmanuel quickly has to start and Jalen Brunson is coming off the bench. I mean, Jalen Brunson is out, you know what I mean? And so you got Quickly out there for a period of time, and then you have Duece, and you got Josh Hart, so the defense obviously picks up, and, those guys look to push the ball ahead, especially Josh Hart. He likes to push that ball ahead whenever he can. So it was, it definitely worked in the Knicks' favor tonight. Really, really, really good second half for the Knicks. And then they dominated on the glass too, right? 52 rebounds for the Knicks tonight, right? They really did hit the glass. 10 rebounds for Julius Randle, 10 rebounds for Emmanuel Quickly, 11 rebounds for Isaiah Hartenstein, 9 rebounds for Josh Hart, right? They really did hit the glass tonight. You know what I mean? And, so that's major, especially in the first half when they weren't hitting shots. And, they needed to find a way to stay within an earshot, at least, of the Blazers. Rebounds, kept them within an earshot. Free throws, even though they weren't making them at a really high clip, but they took 34 free throws tonight. And then RJ Barrett at some point in maybe the second quarter was keeping the Knicks in the game. You know what I mean? He had some runs of his own, being able to keep the Knicks in the game. He ended up shooting 61% from the field and 33% from the three-point line. But RJ was able to keep the Knicks within an earshot. And then finally in the second half, people started to pick up and score the basketball. 22 for RJ, 5 rebounds, 24 points and 10 rebounds for Julius Randle. He shot the ball only 40% from the field. Didn't hit a 3 tonight. 0 for 5 from the three-point line. I think those 5 threes were in the first half of the game. He chilled out the second half. He was 8 for 10 from the free throw line tonight. Emmanuel Quickly, 26 points and 10 rebounds. Josh Hart, 16 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, almost a triple-double. Isaiah Hartenstein, no points, but he had 11 rebounds and 4 assists. Miles McBride, 18 points, 3 assists. Obi Toppin had 11 points tonight. So the Knicks were able to finally, in this game, put together an all-around game, basically in that second half, to pull themselves to a 500 record, right? And, there's 11 games left to the season. They're going to have at least, they can't be any worse than 500 right now. And at the beginning of the season, I had said if the Knicks were worse than 500, I would have been disappointed because with the acquisition of Jalen Brunson, I expected, to me, I was like, you got to be 500 or better. It's pretty clear that, well, we know they're going to be 500, and we'll see how far they can go. They got 41 wins, 9 more wins. You got some people out there who have that, number 50 written in on their chalkboard. The Knicks need 9 more wins to get there.
9-2 over the last 11.
Yep, 9-2 over the last 11 to get
50.
there. So we'll see. They've got a kind of a tough schedule, but we'll see what they can do. Let me get to a phone call. Then I'll get back to Tony and a couple of super chats. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Yes, this is George from the Bronx.
George, what's going on, brother? How you feeling, man?
I'm doing good, man. How you brothers doing? Hey, Josh. Hey, Tony. How y'all doing tonight, man? This morning.
This morning.
Peace, family.
This morning. No doubt. This morning.
Salute, big fella.
Yes. Listen, man. Listen, I'm really proud, man, of how they playing. Shout out to Duece McBride. I'm glad that you gave RJ some shine, because over the last 5 games, he's been like one of our most consistent scorers in the losses and the wins. What he was going through the earlier half of the season, it seemed he got a handle on that. His 3-point shooting is horrendous, but he's getting to that hole.
Mm-hmm.
He's putting pressure on the defense, and he's getting to that line. And Isaiah Hartenstein. He's very valuable for us coming off of that bench. Very, with his rebounding and his passing, and he get a couple block shots here and there. The team is coming together. Mm-hmm. We're coming together. And what I personally feel is that we're one good 3-and-D guy away from going to the next level.
Okay.
I what I'm saying? Obi could be, but we need another 3-and-D guy. Because our 3-point shooting, that's our weak point. That's our weak point. And if we can get that up like 3 or 4 percentage points, then we'll be in the mix. Okay. We'll be in the mix.
So you don't think the Knicks need? So you think Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson are enough of star players to take the Knicks over the top if they get some other pieces?
Yes, for the simple fact that it's not going to be our offense; it's going to be our defense that makes the difference, bro. That's what's making the difference now.
Okay.
Because we scored 123 points, but we held the other team to 107. We can't have games we score 123, the other team score 128, 129.
Right.
It has to be our defense. It has to be our defense.
And I agree with you there. Your defense has to do it. The Knicks can score the ball. When it comes down to closing, are you confident that those two can close with the best of them in the league?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And they showed it. They showed it against Boston. That if the game is close, we just as good as any team out there because of our defense. We have Brunson can get a bucket. Julius can get a bucket. I'm confident in them personally, because if we'd have got Donovan Mitchell, we wouldn't be where we at now, because our defense was sucked.
I disagree.
Okay, fine, but see, we wouldn't have Quickly. We wouldn't have Grimes.
I think it's a Bronx thing, my brother.
Huh? What'd you say?
Keep spitting them facts.
I said we wouldn't have Quickly, we wouldn't have Grimes, and we might not have McBride. And we probably wouldn't have Josh Hart. So where would we be?
I mean, you're right. You probably wouldn't have had Grimes or RJ, and who knows? Maybe Quickly or Obi might have gone. And Josh Hart, you probably would have, right? Because I think you still would have traded Cam for Josh Hart at that point. Who knows what the team? The team.
The pick.
Yes, we still would have had the picks.
The team would have been totally different. It would have been constructed totally different at that point. You know what I mean? Because so many guys would have went out. You would have had added, some other vets. Who knows what that team would have looked like?
Other unknown pieces. Exactly. And we wouldn't be where we at. These guys seem to be gelling. They've been playing together, what's it, second year? They're gelling as a team. You know what I'm saying? As a unit. And that's the difference. That's what we're seeing. They're playing for each other. It's really not about the star talent at this level right here. It's about team basketball. But that's what we're seeing.
Okay. Well, let's hope that they can keep it up.
Well, I'm not going to say we. I'm going to say me. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. That's what I'm seeing.
I dig it. Hey, I mean, right now, right now, not too many people can argue because the Knicks are, they're 41-30 on the season, 11 games above 500. We'll see where they go from here. I think most people, even if they would have gotten Donovan Mitchell, would have thought that this could have been where they were, because most people still thought that the Knicks would have needed to add more. We'll see where this team goes. We got to see what they do in the playoffs. But right now, I'm trying to focus. My mindset is on these last 11 games.
Focusing on Denver. Focusing on Denver. I want to see what happens when they play Denver.
Yeah.
I just want to see what happens when they play Denver. I hope Duece can duplicate that game because we're not going to have Brunson most likely. Mm-hmm. And I hope that Duece can duplicate something close to what he did tonight.
Yeah, I hope too. I hope so too. All right, George, I appreciate you, my brother.
Yo. All right, man. Y'all take care, man.
No doubt. Peace. And, for the Knicks to be able to win basketball games while Brunson is out and can hopefully, just fully heal. I'll tell you what, that ankle, it's not going to heal by, if it's really sprained, it'll be a while before it's 100%, right? Sprains take a long time to heal and to get to be 100%. It takes a while. So if he's playing, he's still not going to be playing 100%. You can guarantee that. He can still play very well, and probably still play, his normal basketball game as long as it's at least at a certain strength, But, one little hit, he's going to feel pain now and again on that ankle. But for him to be able to get rest, not have to rush back, guys step up and play in his absence, I think it's a key. It's a big key for the Knicks there. Because not only can he heal, but they learn about some of their other weapons. And they're still learning about their weapons. But Tony, my man George said that with Brunson and Randle, the Knicks got enough. They just need some other smaller parts. What do you think?
I mean, I've raised that argument before as well. But it has to be in conjunction. You know what I mean? Like the way they complement each other. I think that could be enough. And then the addition of Josh Hart, the way he affects the team. You like it's all about building. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying we're a finished product, but I think we could shock some teams. Yeah. And we're built better than 2 years ago. Like, anything can happen. We could still get swept. We could still lose a series, whatever the case.
No,
this
Tony.
team is built better than that team 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. So what's the no for?
Because you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. If you're going to say we can shock some teams, let's go with that. Don't say, well, we can get swept too. No. Let's keep that energy.
So if we lose 4 games in a row, like at the buzzer, or you know what I mean, like down to the wire, that's not the same as getting beat 4-1 and it not looking good.
If the Knicks lose 4 games in a row at the buzzer, then they're not for real. So what are you saying? You can't have it both ways is what I'm saying. I get, listen, I understand the Knicks can definitely shock some teams.
Two things can't be true?
Not in this case. If the Knicks lose 4 games in a row at the buzzer, no. I don't think they're for real at that point. Because if you're for real, you're going to win those games. Like, and it's not that those games don't only come down to the last shot. They come down to different things at the end of the game, bad defensive possessions or whatever. So it's not just that.
I'm saying whatever the case is, if it's a competitive series or competitive games every time out, and it happens to be a loss, that's still sufficient. That's better than winning one game and getting smacked every other game.
I'll let you finish.
I'm done.
Okay, so I agree with you in that from that standpoint, but the Knicks shocking some teams and going far and Sim's question about Brunson and Randall being enough to take us over the top is different than that scenario. That's what I was responding to. Of course, getting swept 4 games in a row and being in a competitive series is different than losing 4 games to 1. Of course, that's different. But in regards to Sim's question specifically, first of all, we haven't even seen Brunson and Randall play a playoff series yet. 1 playoff game, right? So I understand everyone's hype. We're 11-3 since we got Josh Hart. Randall and Brunson have been playing like superstar players this season. But I have concerns about isolation. I think in the playoffs, it's going to be a little bit different. They still have to pass that test yet and get into a playoff series and perform in that. And then at that point, I think it'll be much fairer for us to judge. But right now,
all that is true. But I think you're looking at it as me saying, we could win the championship this year.
No, I didn't know. No.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying those two could be the stars, and we continue to build around them, and we could be there within whatever this year, next year, whenever it happens.
Well, I
disagree. I think we're looking at it two different ways.
I think probably I disagree with that. First of all, Brunson and Randall haven't even played a playoff game yet, right? So we have to see what they're going to do in the playoffs. That's my number one point. We have to see what they're going to do in the playoffs in this offense when teams are going to be game planning for the isolation, and are they going to be able to perform the same way they have in the regular season in the playoffs?
That's always going to be a fact until we see it. Right. But we could talk about it until then.
Right. But I am. That's what I'm saying. I'm giving my evaluation. I don't think that's fair enough to say with this Knicks team yet. We have to see how they're going to perform in the playoffs before we can say those two are going to be the ones to take us over the hump. I still think we need to watch them and continue to
what is perform. Fair then? What is fair?
Well, let them play a playoff series first. Let them go through that.
I
didn't say that, Tony.
But hold up. But I would also say then it's not fair to say that they definitely need another star player then.
That's fair.
Right? I mean, if it's fair. It would have to be fair both ways. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Just waiting to see what they can do in the playoffs and if they got the chops to get it done in the playoffs.
That's fair.
And even with the Donovan Mitchell thing, my argument was always you can't definitively say we would be better if we did the trade.
You can't definitively say we're going to be worse. You can't say that either.
I've never made the argument on the other side.
George was saying that. George was saying that, the caller.
I was agreeing with George because he's referring to other people saying we would have been better if we would have made the trade, we would be better than we are now. We don't know that. That's not a fact. That's the only argument that I've always had.
Well, he was making the argument that would be worse. So it's the same thing. It goes both ways. But of course, you feel like, no, it's not. So that's what I'm saying. So we can have our opinions on it. We can just disagree. I mean, all I'm saying is this. The way the Knicks run their offense, and I think, and playoffs, things are going to slow down a little bit more. They run a lot of isolation. They depend on the three-point shot. The Knicks don't have the best three-point shooters in the world, right? But they've been making timely buckets, and they really depend heavily on. That's why I sent a super chat a few shows ago in regards to Brunson and Randall. They have to play like superstar players in order for the Knicks to be successful. They literally have to. Compared to other teams, and you guys are like, well, every team is like that. Not necessarily. If you look at teams like Boston, who have offense in which they move the ball, and they have shooters that are capable, that are over 40%, multiple shooters over 40%. They can get away with Tatum and Brown not playing like superstars because they want the way they run their offense. The Knicks are not like that. So that's why, for me, I lean more to the side of the Knicks need another superstar player to come in there that can run isolation, that run what Tibbs wants to do in order for them to be able to be successful based on the offense that they run. That's the way I'm looking at it. Now, of course, we have to see what happens in the playoffs, but that's the position I'm coming from. I'm not ready to say this Knicks team is ready to do anything yet until they show me in the playoffs what they can do. And as of right now, I'm leaning towards them needing another superstar player.
I mean, I disagree. I think Tatum has to play like a superstar to to beat the Knicks.
I mean,
I think the superstars have to be great to beat us. To beat us.
So it wasn't about them beating us. It was about them being able to succeed in the playoffs. Like the Knicks, because the way they run their offense, I'm concerned about the isolation and too much of it. Now, what has me a little bit more optimistic is the fact that you have a bench unit that can come in and pick up the pace a little bit when you take Randall out the game, right? So I'm really optimistic about that part of it. However, Thibodeau for years, and one of the reasons why I think he hasn't been as successful in the playoffs as his regular season record is because his lack of offensive creativity. And I think what we've seen with the Knicks over the stretch without Brunson, directly kind of stems from that same tree. Like the Knicks don't have that much offensive creativity. They need to rely on transition. And if the bench unit can step up and play good transition and get out in space and out in the offense and score like that, I think we will have a better chance, right?
Some people would say that their offense is built for the playoffs.
Yeah. I disagree with that.
Because historically when you get in the playoffs, those defenses clamp down and you need guys who can go one-on-one and score the basketball because it becomes harder to move the ball. Guys are grabbing, holding. Your defense is like the entire game is fourth quarter defense. You know what I'm saying? But, we'll see what happens and how it goes with the Knicks in the playoffs this season. You know what I mean? It's not going to be easy. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a struggle.
Josh is right about spurts. I think you're right in spurts. But ultimately, even like Sim is making a great point about the playoffs is tighter for longer stretches of the game anyway. Mm-hmm. But when it comes down to crunch time, it's not gonna be no transition. It's not gonna be no.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's gonna be Randall and Brunson, and I think that's ultimately like what we're like. That's
I mean because
we've seen, and they've been playing like superstar players over the course of the regular season. I can't take that away from them. That's what they've been doing, but I'm gonna see them do that in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen in the past, any team, offense good or not, you got to have defense in the playoffs. You've got to be able to play defense. You look at the Phoenix Suns teams in the past, with Amari and Steve Nash and those guys, and they had this great offense that moved the ball, but in the playoffs, their offense got stifled a little bit, and they didn't have the defense to stop the other team. You know what I'm saying? And so you got to have the defense. That's the one thing about this team. Throughout the season, their defense has gone up and down. We've had stretches where they didn't play good defense, but we know they can play good defense. And I feel like with this team in a playoff series, when it starts to get to that grind-out type of game, this team can be successful, playing that style of basketball. We've seen them play and win that style of basketball, because, they got players like that all over the court, and I do agree with Tony. I think this team is way better than the team that made the fourth seed a couple of years ago. Whether or not the Knicks make the fourth seed this year, which I don't think they will, I think they're going to be in that fifth seed. But I think they're definitely better than that team. They're way more built for the playoffs than that team was. You know what I'm saying? I think that team, while they surprised everyone else, they surprised themselves too. I don't know if this team right now, they're surprising the league. I don't know if they're surprising themselves. I don't think that they're surprising themselves. I actually feel like that this team probably felt like, without Jalen Brunson, those guys probably felt like they should have been better the year before when they were 37 and 45. You know what I mean? And look at some games where they couldn't finish down the stretch and 20-point leads that they blew and all of those things, and said, man, if we did those things right, we're a different basketball team. So I don't think this team is surprised. I think that they actually believed that they could be this good. It's us who is surprised, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So I think this team is better built. I think they have a better mindset going into the playoffs. You have some guys on this team now, Julius Randle, R.J. Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, Emmanuel Quickly, Obi Toppin. They had that at least a taste of the playoffs and understand a little bit better of what it is. So I think they're coming into this game, into this playoffs season, with a better understanding and in a better mental space, with the playoffs. You know what I mean? So I'm expecting them to do better than they did in 2000, whatever year it was, 2020, 2021, whatever it was. I'm expecting the Knicks to do better. But, of course, we got to finish out the season to get there. They still have 11 games left to the season, and they have some tough competition ahead, right? Currently, the Knicks are, again, 41-30 on the season, 11 games above 500. They are currently one full game above the Brooklyn Nets in the standings. The Nets still battling, though, right? And the Knicks, they've got to continue to win if they want to if they want to stay a full game or more ahead of the Brooklyn Nets. The Knicks play next. They play the Denver Nuggets. And the Brooklyn Nets just came off beating the Denver Nuggets a couple of games ago. All right, so, and we all know that's a matchup that the Knicks struggle with for the most part. Historically, they've struggled with the Denver Nuggets. We'll see if they can change those fortunes around. It'll be their first game home in a week or so, just coming off of 4 games on the road. Hopefully, they can come home and continue to win basketball games. They play 1 o'clock on Saturday against the Denver Nuggets. All right, the Nuggets are currently 46-22. All right, what are they? The number 1 team in the Western Conference right now? Looking at the standings. I'm just waiting for my standings to come up. Yeah, number 1 team in the Western Conference at 46-23, actually. The Memphis Grizzlies are below them at 41-26. The Sacramento Kings 40-27. All right, so the Knicks need that win so that they can stay where they are in the standings. The Knicks currently 3 games behind the Cleveland Cavaliers. Go ahead, Josh.
Sim, can I just respond to a couple things? So first of all,
3.5 games back for the Cavs, I think.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can y'all hear me? Am I frozen?
Yeah, it kind of. Okay. I know you got that.
Sorry about
you
that.
got bad internet. I know you got bad internet. You got to get some good internet, Josh. I don't know where you got your internet from, but
I pay a lot for it, so I don't know. First of all, a couple things to some people in the chat. A couple things to some people in the chat. So some people are saying, well, I'm just rooting for the Knicks to lose so they can be mediocre and all that stuff. That's horrible. I'm very optimistic about this team and what this team can do, right? I think this team is way better than mediocre. I said that, a couple, when they went on this winning streak, I think they're better than mediocre, right? But I need them to prove that in the playoffs. And this whole Donovan Mitchell argument, if we do wind up facing Cleveland, everyone wants to talk about that. I think that's going to be a true test. If we don't need Donovan Mitchell, let's win that series. Right. And I think Sim mentioned it earlier. He would rather play Cleveland in the first round rather than anybody else. Sim, you said something earlier that I wanted to respond to, but I didn't get a chance to get on. You said that you're hoping that the Knicks stay in the 5th seed so that they can basically play Cleveland instead of Philadelphia. For me, I'm not even looking at it that way because even if the 3rd seed is not even locked up, Cleveland can overtake Philly and get to that 3rd seed. So that's not even locked up yet. So for me, staying in the 5th seed just for that purpose that's not something what I'm looking for Knicks to do. I'm looking for them to just try to win as many games as they can, get the highest seed they can, because they can't control what Cleveland's going to do for the rest of the regular season or Philadelphia to get into that spot.
Right, but I didn't say we're going to lose games to stay in that seed. I said I don't want to play the top 3 teams. I didn't say anything about, let's just stay in the 5th seed. If we can get to the 4th seed, then yes, we get to the 4th seed. If we can get to the 3rd seed, then yes, we get to the 3rd seed. What I was saying is I don't want to be in the 6th seed. But
the reason you said that is because you didn't want to play. You didn't want to play Philadelphia. That's the reason why. One of the reasons why you said. And I'm saying we have no control.
I didn't say Philadelphia. I said I didn't want to play the top 3 teams. I didn't just spotlight. I don't want to play Philly. I said I don't want to play Milwaukee, Boston, Philly. So the 5th seed to me is in
my point.
But you're saying Philadelphia. I didn't spotlight just Philadelphia. I'm saying the top 3 teams. I don't want to be 6, 7, or 8. I want to be in the 5th seed. Because I feel like if you're in the 5th seed, you're probably playing an easier matchup than playing those other teams. And if that ends up being Philadelphia, I think that is a tougher matchup for the Knicks than the Cleveland Cavaliers.
But that's my point. That's the point I was trying to get to, because you don't want to. You rather play Cleveland and Philadelphia. What I'm saying is, whether we're 4, 5, 6, none of it is set in stone yet. So we can still play Philadelphia whether we get to the 4th seed. It's none of it set in stone. That's my point. That's the point I was trying to make.
My point was I don't want to be 6 or 7 or 8. That's my point. I want to be 5th or above. That's my point.
Because you don't want to play Milwaukee, Boston, and Philadelphia.
Right. So do you want to play Milwaukee in the first round?
That's what I'm saying. No, Sam. Understand what I'm trying to say. Listen, hear me out for a second. You don't want to be 6, 7, or 8 because you don't want to play Boston, Milwaukee, or Philadelphia. What I'm saying is that the top 3 is not even set in stone yet. Cleveland can get into the top 3, and Philadelphia can go to 4.
I'm saying the top 3. Those are the top 3 that's there right now. Those are the top 3 that's there right now. I'm saying I don't want to play the top 3. I'm saying I want to be in the 5th seed. I want to be in the 4th or 5th. I'm saying most likely we'll be in the 5th seed because you're probably playing an easier matchup in the 4th seed. And I know what you're saying. Well, you're saying that there's parity between those 3. I don't think there's parity between those 3.
Okay, so there you go. All right, gotcha.
Yeah. So
gotcha. I'm tracking. I got you.
Right. I don't want to be in 6, 7, or 8.
I just want to be the highest seed possible. I don't care whether I just want to be the highest possible seed possible.
That's
I'm
what
not
I'm
even
saying.
looking at the
That's
first
why I don't
matchup. Yeah.
That's why I don't want to be 6, 7, or 8.
So
That's not the highest seed possible. You know what I mean? And right now, we got a ways to go to catch Cleveland. If we're going to get to that 4th seed, we got a ways to go. 3 games. Not that it's not impossible because we've beaten them twice, right?
Right, and we play them again. So, you can theoretically gain a game on them if you play them again, but then, of course, you need them to lose. That's why that 3-game losing streak hurt the Knicks. Obviously, they, they were going to lose at some point, but, it hurt the Knicks, that 3-game losing streak, because you lost some ground with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And Brooklyn, they're not done. They're still battling. You know what I mean? And the Nets could realistically go 500 the rest of the season or better. You know what I mean? So they're definitely still battling out there. So they're not done. These games down the stretch of the season are just straight up, and they're just important for the Knicks all the way down the stretch of the season. They're important. And when you look at the Nets, their last few games, they play Sacramento. That's a tough one for them. They play Denver again. That's another tough game for them. And they got Cleveland twice, Miami, Orlando. They got Miami, or then they got Orlando, Houston. They got to play Atlanta, Utah. This is Brooklyn's. I'm just looking at them compared to what our schedule is. Their schedule is a little bit lighter than ours, but it's still kind of tough. So there's still plenty of games where that can knock them down. A notch or 2 in those standings. You know what I mean? For the Knicks, obviously our schedule's a little bit tougher than the Brooklyn Nets coming down the stretch of this season. Cleveland got one of
the better team.
Yeah, Cleveland got one of the easiest schedules down the stretch, and Philly got one of the hardest schedules down the stretch.
Yeah. Cleveland has an easy schedule down the stretch. You know what I mean? Relatively speaking. The Knicks coming down the stretch, they have Denver on Saturday. Then they have Minnesota, Miami, Orlando, Houston. And then you're Miami, Cleveland, Washington, Indiana, New Orleans, Indiana. I mean, it's not too bad. It's not too bad, but it's definitely challenging. Right? And the Cleveland Cavaliers, like we said, their schedule is pretty lightweight, I think, compared to a lot of these other teams, that are battling, trying to get in that spot there. Cavaliers 44-27 right now on the season. They're 6-4 in their last 10 games. I think they've won their last 2 games or 3 games. And when you look at their schedule coming down the stretch of the season, they play Philadelphia. They play them tomorrow or today, whatever. Then they play Washington, Brooklyn, right? And it's hard for me to judge how those Brooklyn games are going to go. Houston, Atlanta, we play them on the 31st. Then they play Indiana, Orlando, Charlotte. Right, so it's a little bit easier of a schedule for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And then when you look at Philadelphia, their schedule down the stretch of the season, they play the Cavaliers. Now, they've won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row. They play the Cleveland Cavaliers. They play Charlotte, Indiana, Chicago, Golden State, Phoenix, Denver, Dallas, Toronto, Milwaukee, Boston, Miami, Atlanta, Brooklyn. So that last stretch for the Philadelphia 76ers is pretty tough. You know, that last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Those last 9 to 10 games are pretty tough for Philadelphia. So we'll see how this thing.
That's why there could be some changes at that third seed.
You know, we'll see how this thing runs out. I mean, there could be. You know, they got a 3-game lead over the Cleveland Cavaliers. They've won 5 in a row, playing good basketball. You know, 7-3 in their last 10 games. I mean, you know, Cleveland's got some work to do to catch Philadelphia, just like we've got some work to do to catch Cleveland. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see where it pans itself out. You know what I mean? Philadelphia could reach up and catch Boston. They're just 1 game below Boston, right? Boston is 47-22. Philadelphia is 45-22. Just 1 game between them. And Boston hasn't been playing well as of late. They're 5-5 in their last 10. They lost their last game. Milwaukee right now, 50-19, 3 games above the Boston Celtics. So we'll see how this thing ends up, ladies and gentlemen. But right now, the Knicks, you know, 11 games above 500, right there in the mix of things. We'll see if they can continue. What's your thoughts on this Denver game, Tony? You there, Tony?
I mean, it's obviously going to be tough. I mean, I think we could. We traditionally haven't played well against Jokic. Like he's had some real. Not even like one of his best performances, but he's been dominant. He's gonna be tough because of his size. I think my objectives would really be don't let the other guys beat you. You know what I mean? Maybe neutralize him as neutralize his passing. You know what I mean? If he kills you that way. Let him kill you that way, or be pretty strategic on if you double it. You know what I mean? Like who you letting? Just don't let him get off that way.
Right.
Because I think a traditional scorer. You know what I mean? Where you're just gonna want to dominate that way. I make him try to have to win.
Yeah.
I think the Knicks struggle with Jokic specifically because the Knicks struggle with defending a big man who is the focal point or the centerpiece of the offense and how the offense is ran. We've seen it when we played Sabonis. They ran dribble handoff on us all day, and we had no answer for Sabonis. No answer. And I think with Jokic, that's pretty much how we struggle. We struggle against those types of big men who were able to pass out of, you know, dribble handoffs and pick and rolls and stuff like that. And I think it's going to be a tough game for Mitch. I agree with Tony slightly. I think we do need to neutralize all the shooters that they have. Try to get out on them, but it's not going to be an easy task. Jokic is, you know, probably one of the leaders for MP for a reason. It's really hard to defend against him. I just think it's going to be tough, and I think it's going to be a really tough game for Mitch. I think we'll see a lot more Hartenstein in that game than we will Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, I mean, you see it today. Hartenstein played, you know, he played a lot of minutes today. You know, 26 minutes, I think, to Mitchell Robinson's 21 minutes, probably because of the matchup. with Nurkic. He matches up with him a little bit better.
And last game. And the game before.
Right. He matches up a little bit better with guys like Nurkic and Jokic. Not that he's gonna, completely stop him or shut him down, but the matchup is a little bit better, I think.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, wouldn't be surprised if you've seen a lot of Hartenstein, and he's playing better basketball as well. Big shout out to Brooklyn Butch. He said, "Can I get a hand for management for picking up the light-skinned Draymond Green? Gotta love him." Talking about Josh Hart, and yeah, man. I mean, I think when you look at the last time the Knicks played against the Blazers earlier this season, Josh Hart had like 19 rebounds. Like I said in the game preview, that's when Tom Thibodeau probably went to Leon Rose and said, "Get me him right there. I need a guy like that." You know what I'm saying? I need a guy just like that. That's who I need. And they gave him his Christmas gift. He's been great for the Knicks so far, and I think he's that was such a huge pickup. Such a huge pickup for the Knicks right there.
And I'll talk about it later. I'll talk about it off air. I got a question for you.
What about Josh Hart?
It's pertaining to him.
Okay. I mean, I bet you Chauncey Billups was like, damn, I wish I still had Josh Hart on this basketball team. I could guarantee he was.
There's a lot of people out there who are part of the Cam Reddish hive and all of that, and was talking all this mess about Cam Reddish and how the Knicks did him wrong and all this. I'm not talking about you, Tony, so you gotta look at me.
Listen, I was just gonna admit it. I'm part of the hive, but I'm rational.
But it just goes to show you. And now everyone, like all those people, the same people that were saying, "Oh, Cam Reddish this, Cam Reddish that," was see, that's the reason why we traded him. Everyone wants to backpedal about all of that. But I agree. You can't say enough about this front office and what they did to acquire a player like Josh Hart. My question is, are they going to be able to keep him and re-sign him? One. And two, trading away that first-round pick, they got to do some damage in the playoffs. At least be competitive in that first round if you gave away a first-round pick for him. Because, again, that's just a thing for me. But I'll leave it at that.
I mean, looking at what he's done, I would say he's worth it.
And yes,
even if the Knicks don't get out the first round?
Yes, they will re-sign
yes.
Even if the Knicks don't get out the first round?
Yeah, because they could have got Donovan Mitchell and not got out the first round.
But come on, Sam.
Right?
That's better than having Josh Hart. That's a player you want to give up draft picks for, not a player like Josh Hart.
I get it, but it's not. But you didn't give up picks, right?
Yeah. So why did you compare him to Donovan Mitchell then?
Because what you said is they gave up one pick, and if we don't get out of the first round, is he worth it? And I said yes, because we could have gave up umpteen picks and got Donovan Mitchell and not got out of the first round. So, and that still would have been worth it.
And your logic would have been worse.
You know what I'm saying?
With Donovan Mitchell, I expect us to get out of the first round.
Right, and if you didn't, would it have been worth it to get Donovan Mitchell?
That's all hypothetical. No, but we'll have Donovan Mitchell for long term. He's under contract for 4 years. There's no guarantee we're going to sign Josh Hart for a longer term contract. So I think that's much different, right? And you have a nucleus of players that you're building around.
That's way different. You're too worried, bro.
I think Josh Hart is going to be a New York Knicks, and I think that first round pick was worth it with what he brings to the team.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, I'm gonna give you some advice, man. Move on to the next controversy. And start talking about how much money we gonna pay him, and whether he's worth that, because we're gonna pay him.
Yeah,
he's gonna.
I have no problem with the Knicks. I have no problem with that. I think that's we need to pay him, especially if we give up a first round pick for him. But I think you could logically look at it one way and say, well, the Knicks traded a first round pick away, right, and they didn't get out the first round. Most teams don't trade away first round picks and without planning on getting out of the first round. I think that is one way to look at it. I'm not saying I'm completely looking at it that way. That's why I asked the question.
I think you trade first round picks if you feel like you're bringing in a building block, a guy that fits what you do, a guy that fits your team, a guy that you can build with. It doesn't have necessarily that you're building around that guy, but you're bringing in a guy. Josh Hart can fit on any team with the way that he plays and what he does. So you're bringing in a building block. You're bringing in a piece that's going to be essential. And so, yeah, I think that first round pick is worth it.
Okay.
You know
that's
what I mean?
That's why I asked the question.
Yep. You know what I mean? And if they don't get out of the first round, yeah, I still think it's worth it. You know what I mean? And I know people get mad. I'm not saying people get mad. Well, they traded Kevin Knox in the first round pick for Cam, and then they had to trade Cam in the first round pick to get Josh Hart. But sometimes, you got to try something. You got to take chances to do something, and that's what they try to do with Cam Reddish. So I'm not mad at them for trying something with Cam Reddish. When you try something, it may or may not work.
And
go ahead.
You got to look at their whole track record. If you're gonna bring up a specific trade, look what they did here, look what they did here. All right, well, let someone argue the counter, or for you, look at the whole picture. So look at the Mook trade that gave us quickly, and look at the moving down and acquiring another pick, and look at everything in this totality and judge them on that rather than nitpicking,
right?
And saying, they made a mistake here, there.
Trust me, now I wasn't doing that. I just asked the question because I already know that question.
I think he said he wasn't talking to you.
No, I got you.
And because I see it all the time. They had to do that, and also, at least in this instance, they recognize we made a mistake. He's not going to work with Tom Thibodeau. Let's move on from it. You know what I'm saying? And get him the type of player that he wants. So, I can't be mad at the front office for that. That's how you want him to move. You make a mistake, you say, okay, well, we got to figure out how we get from under it. That's what you do. So, obviously, Josh Hart has done some good things for the Knicks. Hopefully, Cam is going to find his way in Portland in the NBA or whatever it is. But I think it was the right move. And like Tony said, this front office has been very good at finding guys in the late first round, but also finding ways to pull in more draft picks. You know what I'm saying? So I feel confident that they'll continue to do so. And it's been, the guy, what's his name? Walt Perrin. That's been the guy doing all those little things, all those little tiny moves and ways to bring in more picks and second round picks and stuff like that. That's Walt Perrin doing work. You know what I mean? Scouting. Right. Got guys in there doing work. So it's a good thing. Knicks
I have zero complaints about the front office. I think they've done a phenomenal job. I come down on people who criticize the front office, like Tony said, and kind of nitpick. But I just was bringing that argument up.
Yeah. So
anyway. I already know it's coming. You already know it's coming. So.
Know what's coming?
That if the Knicks don't win the first round, there's going to be people out there that are going to say, some fans that are going to say, well, the Knicks gave up a first round pick to bring this guy in. We didn't get out the first round. That's going to happen. Some fans are going to have that narrative.
I'm pretty sure they're going to have that narrative. You know what I'm saying? What year was that pick that they traded? It was this year's, right?
This year. And to me, the way it turns out, Dallas has a worse record than us. So we'll have a higher pick this year anyway. So we'll still have one left over. Yep. My way of thinking was I wanted to package both of those picks to try to move up. But that was just me. But, this is working out for now.
Yeah.
If we're going to sign Josh Hart long term, I'm all for it.
Yep. The Knicks are still going to have that Dallas pick. And let me see what other pick that they potentially have. I think the Washington pick.
Yep. Top 18 protected or something like that.
Top 18 protected.
Or top something like that.
Yeah, it's not conveying this year. It's not
probably not. Year. Probably not. Right now, Washington is 32 and 37, 10th in the Eastern Conference.
They would have to get up to at least 8.
It's either top 14 or top 18. I gotta go check.
No, they might have to get up to 7 at least to for it to convey this year.
Mm.
And that's only because the West is pretty bad this year.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they've got to get up there in order for it to convey this year. So likely it will not convey this year. You know what I mean? Okay, appreciate you, man. Thank you for the super chat. He said, I love all three of you guys. Appreciate it. We appreciate you, my brother. Thank you. We appreciate you.
Right. Love you.
Yeah, just to confirm, the Washington pick is top 14 protected. So there's still a chance.
Top
Still a chance for
14.
DC, depending on top 14 protected. So it got to be basically mediocre, or at least mediocre.
Yeah, but yeah, I checked yesterday, and right now they projected 7th. You know what I mean, or at least yesterday.
Okay.
You know what I mean. So that's 7 spots they got to rise or fall, however you look, like depending on how you looking at it. So that's what I mean. They gotta jump the standings. They got to get to that 7th seed potentially. And
where are
the
they
West,
at right now?
10th.
10.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And the West has to continue to be the way it is, like with those.
Washington's
30.
on the East, Tony.
The lottery is
but the
based
lottery
off the
is
league.
based off everybody.
Oh,
You see what
gotcha.
I'm saying?
My bad.
Right.
My bad.
So, yeah, so that's gonna be tough for that to convey. You know what I mean? And then I think it's after, maybe not next year, but the year after. If it doesn't convey, then it turns into however many second round picks. But we will see. We'll see how it goes. And this is, I'm pretty sure Leon Rose and those guys right now, they're just looking, okay, let's see what we do in the playoffs and then make some decisions after that. See how we look in the playoffs, how we perform in the playoffs, then make some decisions from there. But anyway.
See, they looking for the same thing as you, Josh. They just want to see.
That goes without saying. That's what they have to do that. I mean, why would they not? No matter where however the Knicks perform in the playoffs, they're going to do that no matter what. I'm just talking about. In regards to that Donovan Mitchell thing.
I'm just saying they just as anxious as you are. They just want to see what they do in the playoffs, like you keep saying.
So, anyway, we're gonna get out of here. It's crazy, just thinking about that Dallas pick, man. The Mavericks are 34 and 35 right now on the season. Haven't played well since the trade. 3-7 over the last 10 games. They've lost their last 3 games. Right now they're in the 9th seed in the Western Conference. I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna work out for them. You know what I mean? That's a tough one for them, because their expectations were. I don't think that they expected, he was gonna come right in and they were just gonna click and boom, 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 boom. And I don't think they expected this. You know what I mean? But actually, he's a free agent at the end of the season, so
it could be good for them though.
What could? No, as far as
the struggling and everything they're going through right now, you know what I mean? Even if they end up in the play-in and then the pressure of that game, I would think they would still be the favorites, you know what I mean? No matter who they're going up against in a play-in situation. Or at least not an underdog, you know what I mean? Like, so, and then they get in. Now, it can still be dangerous no matter who they facing in the first round, home court or not.
Playoffs a different animal. That's why I keep trying to stress home.
They could be dangerous.
I wouldn't say they win it all type, but they could. You know what I mean?
I think they need a lot of glue pieces. With having Kyrie and Luka, 2 ball dominant guys, I think they just need some glue pieces, and they're gonna need time to figure things out too. You know what I mean? We'll see how that works out, but hopefully they don't figure it out this year. You know what I'm saying? Don't figure it out this year. Get the Knicks the best draft pick possible. Does that pick? But that pick has some protections on it, though.
Top 10.
Yeah, top 10 protected. So stay in the play-in.
Stay in the play-in, right?
Stay in the play-in. You dig what I'm saying?
We'll take any results after that, right?
Right. Stay in the play-in. Stay in the play-in, all of that stuff. Because right now, I mean, shoot, 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, they are 34 and 35. I mean, they would probably be projected to get, I don't know, what? 17, 18 or something like that.
Right now? Yeah, right now they're at 17.
17.
As of yesterday, 17.
As of yesterday, 17. So can they how much more can they fall? How much higher can they get before? I guess they can get all the way to 11. I doubt that they would go there. Right?
Yeah, I think I haven't looked at their schedule. I didn't know if you was ending. I was gonna say, like, what's their schedule look like?
I mean, their schedule, yeah, I'm gonna end, but we can take a quick look at their schedule. You know, that this is a good thing to watch.
So it's not. So just correct me if I'm wrong. It's not based on the seeding of the team. It's based on their record to determine whether they're going to be in the lottery. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Right. I mean,
so the 10 worst records, they can't have one of the 10 worst records in the league.
Right. If they have one of the 10 worst records, then the Knicks won't get the pick. You know what I'm saying? So they have to be like, if they have the 11th worst record, and so they're gonna get the 11th pick, the Knicks will get that pick.
Well, what about the lottery? Because they can. Yeah,
I don't know how it works with the lottery.
Okay. The lottery is maybe 14. What's the lottery? 14.
14. So they can finish outside the top 10 as far as record, but then the lottery can take them into the top 10.
Yes,
that could. Yes, the lottery could take because it's the lottery. The lottery could take them into the top 10. Right.
Gotcha. But you want them to finish as good as possible so that the odds are less.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You want them to go right to where, you know what I mean? Right to where it's gonna benefit the Knicks the best. Get the Knicks the highest pick possible, but where they don't get the pick.
So basically, like, if all went well, we could get the 11th pick from Dallas and anywhere from the 15th on from Washington.
Correct. So Washington would not have to be a lottery team. They'll have to finish outside the lottery, and Dallas would have to finish in the lottery, but they can't. The lottery can't take them into the top 10.
10 or higher. 10
right.
or higher.
Right.
Gotcha.
Top 10.
Or 11 or higher.
Top 10.
11 or higher.
Yeah. Or whatever it is. But the Dallas, let me see. They play San Antonio today. Then they play the Lakers. They play Memphis. They play Golden State, Charlotte, Indiana, Philadelphia, Miami, Atlanta, Sacramento, Chicago, and San Antonio.
They could go, I don't know how many games that was, but they could go like 500. They could easily go 500.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's 13 games, you know. So
they could go one game over 5. They could go like.
Yeah. And you know, if they end up 500, that probably benefits us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That probably benefits us. That probably puts us, you know, where we want to be. So let's see how that goes. Be paying attention to that. But anyway, I'm going to get up out of here, man. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for rocking with us. 2 o'clock in the morning. I actually got some work I got to do because I got a couple of meetings early in the morning. So I'm going to knock that out. I got to take a 2-hour ride tomorrow to bring my daughter back to school. But, yeah, I'm about to get up out of here, man. Any last words before we get out of here?
Appreciate you, Sim. Josh, it's always a controversy with you on. Appreciate you. Shout out to the chat. Ill Black is time.
And you know, I do want to send a shout out to the Nick of Time show. Make sure you check them out tomorrow, right? They're going to have Monica McNutt on. So that should be a dope show. Yeah, so make sure you just be on the lookout for that, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, I'm up out of here, folks. Peace.
This is MBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.